Welcome back to the ChatRoom. My name is Amantle Nsala and I am your host for today. This is a show where we delve into the dynamic world of the Gen Z, looking at all the challenges that they face. In today's show, I am with the one and only Miss Neo Phologa. She's known as a model, but Miss Botswana, Miss Universe, I'm not quite sure. She also owns something called Unplugged by Neo Phologa. Neo, hi.
Hi, Amantle. How are you?
I'm good, and how are you?
I'm really good.
Thank you for being here today. And I know I caught you off guard because I texted you literally, I think, less than 24 hours ago.
Okay.
You're a woman of many titles. Yeah, a model. Yeah, I saw on your LinkedIn. LinkedIn shows you a lot of things about people.
So you're stuck in me.
Yeah, I feel like interest. You are. I can see. So I'm just gonna give you, I think, 5 minutes or less than 5 minutes to just tell me what exactly you do and who you are. What's your story?
Dumela Mbathung. Dumela Amantle. My name is Neo Phologa, like you mentioned. I am currently pursuing my Bachelor of Laws degree at the University of Botswana. I am also the founder of a life improvement organization called Unplug with Neo Phologa, which is aimed at inspiring, empowering, and motivating the youth through progressive speaking and online workshop programs. I also do public speaking here and there. It's actually a side hobby, When school, you need something to just cool your mind. So public speaking is that for me. I also have a history in the pageantry industry. I was part of the Miss Botswana 2022 semi-finalists. Yeah, that's just me.
Yeah, that's a lot, hey. You just said that public speaking is a side hobby. You also do a lot of things. What I want to know is, of all these titles that you're continuously just maneuvering around, how is it to just balance everything? And by the way, I believe that even when you're in varsity, it's more of like now a self-discovery journey. And having to tie down to things that, people identify you as. How do you balance the whole life and workload?
With me, I would say that I've surpassed the self-discovery stage. I've always known who I am, what I want to do. This dates back to when I was around 9 years old, because that's when I came up with the idea of having Unplugged. Back then, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I knew that I wanted to have an establishment like Unplug with Neo Phologa. In regards to balancing, I get that question a lot, actually. I always tell people that everything I do has a connection. So Unplug, there's like a bit of law here and there, current affairs and stuff like that. And I believe that relates also to my studies, I have to keep up with the current affairs. And then what else do? I just love what I do. I feel like if you genuinely do love what you do, you'll find balance. Even if you're doing 100 things, you always find
light
balance.
work.
Exactly. Yeah.
I want you to just give me just a quick run through of your journey with modeling. I mean, if I'm thinking about modeling, I'm thinking now I have to learn how to walk in a 9-inch heel. Now I have to do all of this. I have to make sure that, my posture is okay in front of this large audience. But I just want you to show it to me from a lens of someone who's been in it. What has been modeling like for you?
With modeling, I don't really talk about it a lot. I'm so surprised because this is literally the first interview I've ever been at where someone asked me about my modeling journey. Well, I don't really have a lot to say about it, apart from the fact that I've always loved pageantry from a very young age. Pageantry, it's one of the things that I had always envisioned myself doing. It's maybe my second love after Unplug. So I've literally had only one experience in the beauty industry, and that was Miss Botswana.
What are you shocked the world? The fact that we still remember that someone was once a model means that she shocked the world.
That was in 2022, Miss Botswana, and I was actually the youngest. There's no one even up to now.
I remember that. I think you were 18.
I was 18.
Yes, yeah. I remember. I think you made to the top 10, or was it?
It was top 15.
Yes, yeah. And I remember it was like headlines. Your 18-year-old is making it to that. That was amazing, by the way.
Yeah, and I am hoping to continue with my pageantry journey. Right now, I still have school. You're a law student. You know how it gets.
Yeah. You actually shouldn't say I'm a law student, because what if I lie to people and say that I'm doing medicine?
She's a law student.
Anyway, so now let's talk about Unplugged by Neo Phologa, right? So I think my first interaction with Unplugged was TEDx Talks. You know,
Yeah.
it's where we now just gather intellects to talk about what exactly what exactly is happening in the modern day world, whether it's socially engaging issues.
Yeah.
So with Unplugged, let's just start with the name. Why Unplugged?
To be honest, guys, a friend of mine is the one who came up with unplug, right? Then the phrase unplug.
Yeah.
And then I told him I'm very bad at naming things. I had like the names I came up with were so crazy. So I told him I want my name to be attached to the name of the organization. I grew up watching a lot of opera, and I wanted something like opera. We know opera today because of the opera show. Yeah, so I was like, I want my name to be there, not just now, because Lina Lelami, it's
Yeah.
so I wanted Phologa also to be attached to the name.
To be part of your identity.
Then he came up with Unplug with Neo Phologa. I want to build a legacy so that even when I'm not here, when my grandkids are here, I'm hoping Unplug will still be there. There'll always be Unplug with Neo Phologa. Yeah, so that's basically it. I don't really have a story of like how I started it. I just told my friend, please help me come up with a name.
And that was
Yeah.
So with Unplugged, what exactly does Unplugged do? And just like how do you tie it to the certain dynamic or age dynamic that you're in? Because I believe that even with creating such things, you're going out initially you'd plan it for a certain demographic of people, right? Your youth. And now how does it relate to you, even the like multiple stages that you move with? Like how will it constantly stay with you?
Actually, with me, when I started Unplug, it's quite the opposite. I had hoped that I'll be able to accommodate everyone. I didn't want to have any age limitations to it. However, as a founder of an initiative such as Unplug, you get to a point where now you realize that you're supposed to have a target audience that there's a certain age demographic that you're supposed to focus on, right? Because at Unplug with Neo Phologa, we empower, inspire, and motivate people. So I'm supposed to know exactly the group that I'm motivating to specific, so that each and everything we have at our sessions, I tailor it specifically for that certain age group, so that they can be able to relate to it. Because as much as we are people, we have common things. We won't always share similar things. The millennials don't have the same problems that the Gen Zs have. I don't know what grouping and our
Because the baby boomers or
they don't have the same issues that we have. You understand? Plus, also when I targeted the youth, I'm a youth. I know exactly what is currently happening in our country and out of our country. All the problems that we are currently facing, I'm a forefront of it. I experience it. So why not talk about something that I also will be able to relate to? Yeah.
That's amazing. You know what? There's a lot to unpack over here, especially with Unplugged and how exactly it now relates to all these multiple generations that we're bringing in. But let's just go for a quick breather, ladies and gentlemen. This is the chat room, and today it's with Amantle Nsala and Neo Phologa. We're back. Welcome back to the chat room. This is Amantle Nsala as always, and today's guest, like I said, is Neo Phologa. Now, I actually forgot to tell you guys the topic for today, right? We were just excited to talking about Neo's journey in modeling, in Unplugged. The topic for today is a step into reality. I just want us to look at your personal journey as an individual and also as a young member of a youth. You're not just part of the youth, you're Gen Z, OG Gen Z actually. Yeah. And you know what the thing is? One of the things that I'm constantly thinking about is the baby boomers, I believe, are the generation before the millennials, right?
Are they?
Why baby boomers? Before? Do you think like it was because there's like a rapid increase in babies then? I don't understand. I don't understand. But if anyone knows, please do comment down below. No, back to Unplugged, right? What was the key issue that you really wanted to solve when you looked at Unplugged?
Mental health. Unplug was supposed to be a mental health orientated organization. Like I said, I came up with the idea of Unplug at the age of 9. And guys, primary school kids, they'll bully you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not only from school but also at home, I suffered from mental health related issues from a very young age. And I'll always sit myself down and wonder, what if I created a community, a family where people like me could talk about the different problems that we face on a daily basis, come up with solutions, basically make a family of my own. Not saying that my family doesn't love me, but yeah, people who be able to relate, people who be able to relate to exactly what I'm going through. So that is one thing that I didn't let go of. It's been mental health throughout. For sure, we try and push other things on the side. Personal development comes with so many different things. Yeah, but mental health is the main thing that we focus on.
I chose the topic as step into reality because we normally talk about having to transition from different schools, having to transition from maybe your school to a workplace. But there's a certain different level of transition where you like move from your being a normal person to being an entrepreneur, you being a normal person to pursuing something that you're passionate about. Now, when we look at Unplugged, because now you were just an individual now transitioning to having a brand and something that you can say, oh, this is something that I run, or this is an organization that carries my identity. What do you think was your moment of stepping into reality when dealing with Unplugged?
The moment of stepping into reality, I'd say, okay, this one. The moment of stepping into reality, when I started Unplug, I thought that I could handle everything on my own. But darling, life is not like that. You need people around you. You need people to advise you. I'm one person who's hard-headed sometimes. My team will tell you this. So I got to realize as time went on that you cannot do this alone. It will suffocate you. That's how I stepped into reality. I was like, it's getting real. Because I always do everything that I plan off, I always do it accordingly. But this time around, things were a bit difficult for me, here and there. And my dad actually sat me down and said, girl, you need people to help you, so this idiom is an idiom, of no man is an island.
I got to learn it the hard way. You know what, actually, now that we're talking about just transitioning into your brand and your organization, there's, I think, a different level of challenge that comes with picking your team. And I think that's something that we also undermine. What is one thing or just one advice you'd give to anyone who's starting up an organization in terms of picking up, because those are the pillars that are going to hold you when things get really tough. Walk me through that process. What do you think is one of the biggest things you need to consider when picking a team?
The biggest thing that you need to consider, first of all, don't involve your friends or family.
Why didn't I meet you the first time I was starting something of my own?
Do not involve your friends and family. They love you, yes, and they wish you well, but sometimes they won't really have the same vision that you have. Now, this takes me back to the second thing. Get people who see your vision the way you do, who understand exactly what you're doing. And before you can get people to understand your vision and exactly what you're doing, you yourself have to be very much aware of what you're doing, because I can have an idea, I want to be a model, or let me say I want to be a founder of an organization, not knowing exactly what goes into whatever I'm trying to go into, the industry that I'm trying to go into. So first, understand exactly what you're doing, understand your vision, get people who understand the same vision that you have. And also be open-minded.
That's very important. That's very true. I met this other lovely lady, actually, shout out to her. I believe her name is Mosa, right? And she's a farmer, but she's also a model, right? So I think they call her the model farmer or something. Like every single time.
The pageantry farmer girl, something like that.
Big fan of her. But when I sat down at home and I was thinking about just how she was able to, have this brand of hers, that, the pageantry farmer, that's really cool. I thought about how often we fail to integrate two parts of our lives that highly define us. It's like we're almost forced to choose one part of it.
Yeah.
And I realized that with you as well, you're also a model, but you also have your Unplugged.
Yeah.
Now, with these two identities that highly define you, how do you think you allow them to integrate within themselves and just form you as Neo without separating them?
Without separating them, to be honest, I've had difficulties with having the two to align, because the modeling industry is a completely different industry. The bikini wears and stuff like that, and then there's the Unplug with Neo Phologa, the corporate girl. So now I used to wonder, how are people going to look at me, especially when I go into boardrooms. I'm coming to you and I'm telling you that I need a sponsorship for Unplug with Neo Phologa, and gonna go and I saw bikini pictures on my social media. So I got to learn that sometimes you need to compromise just a little bit. I had to compromise my modeling journey. Like I said, it's been a really long time with modeling, because that's something that I decided to put on a hold for a little bit and try and build a foundation for Unplug with Neo Phologa and ensure that it's solid, right? So that when it is solidified, it's something that is worth everyone's attention and every sponsorship the country has to offer.
Definitely.
Then now I can go into the pageantry industry and now start cultivating myself there. Yeah.
I wanted to talk a bit more about that, especially with two different brands that highly define you, having to pull you through each, right?
Yeah.
But for now, let's just go for a quick break. Before we go for a quick break, though, let me just remind you that we are there on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. So I'm not a content creator, but I will tell you this: press that notification bell, press the subscription button, and make sure that you are well informed with the chat room. We'll be back. We are back at the chat room, and as I said, I am Amantle Nsala and I am with Neo today. Our conversation for the day is stepping into reality, transitioning from whatever you were, whatever defined you, into whatever you want to pursue. So we were actually talking about now having to integrate, or rather, fuse. Is it fuse?
Fuse two different industries.
English is not my first language. Fuse two brands that completely identify you, right?
Yeah.
I choose to speak to you about this because you are a woman of many hats. You are a law student, you're a model, and you also own an Unplugged by Neo Phologa. Now, let's talk about your legal career. I think one of the things that people really undermine is your knowledge in terms of your rights, or just like your legal perception of everything. Talk to me about how you already coming from a stance of being a law student allows you to maneuver well and exceptionally in whatever it is that you pursue.
So remember when I said Unplug is, we do so many different things. So we have like a charity team where we donate like different things to different people. Right now we are currently doing a stationary donation drive for kids who are currently hospitalized due to cancer, right? So that it takes me to human rights. When I started law school, to be honest, I didn't know what I was getting into. I didn't know what I wanted to do. When I got into university, Ms. Botswana was the main thing. So in regards to school, it wasn't really that important for me, right? Yeah, but as I pursued my legal studies, I got introduced to so many different aspects of law. Law is more than what you see on television. It's more than going to court and arguing. It's
more than Suits. The
show Suits. It's more than that, right?
Yeah.
So I got really interested in the international human rights aspect of it. I believe it aligns with it's a charity, giving back to your community. And that's something that is really, really intriguing for me because I grew up, my mom introduced me to the charitable space from a very young age. I grew up loving to help people, not only people, but also animals as well. So law helps me in that aspect, in the aspect of, for example, like I said, we're doing stationary donation drive for kids suffering cancer who are currently battling cancer, right? I know now that I can donate things, but I cannot show these children's images. It's against the children's rights. So that's how, like I said, everything I do has a link. I get information from law and apply it at Unplug with Neo Phologa and every charity initiative that I go into.
I think just stepping into reality rather now just observing things from the lens of a very real perception. Obviously now you envision the future in a different way.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the future of, it could be Neo her own, like just Neo the brand, or Unplugged, or just Neo the law student, or advocate Neo by then.
Yeah.
Just talk to me of how you envision your future.
I love this question so much, and I want people to come back to it maybe 5 years from now, because whatever I'm saying, paging, I get social media. Yeah, so I also want to come back.
The best digital footprint.
Yeah. So I envision Unplug with Neo Phologa as an international organization that is going to help so many people around the world, that is going to change the lives of so many people. I see myself as one of the best speakers the world has ever produced. I see myself as Miss World also one day.
That's beautiful.
In the near future, I see myself as Miss World. I'll come back to this.
Yeah.
And I also see myself as an international human rights lawyer working at the United Nations organization.
I should actually look at the camera and say, I believed in her the time when she wasn't. So that by the time you make it, you don't forget me. This is evidence.
Come on. Yeah, I see myself at the UN. I don't see myself owning a law firm, to be honest. I see myself speaking for people's rights, going around different countries, helping people. That's just me. And in regards to family, I won't speak much into that. It's not something that I've really thought of. I want to get married. I want to have these many kids. And also, I see myself as a successful serial entrepreneur, both in the fashion industry and real estate. It's something that I'm currently interested in. Yeah, that's me.
You know, the whole concept of not looking at like the future of whether you're getting married when or having, I think that's really a good thing that Gen Z has adapted. And I know our friends at the back there are going to start calling us out for only speaking on social media and not transcending it back to reality. But I've had conversations with many of our age mates and how they talk about how, building a family is something that, okay, it is in that timeline, but it's not part of the the top priority. Yes, and I think that's a very beautiful thing. When you're talking, one concept that I just grasped from you was diversity. How you're just so diverse, even in your thinking, even in just adapting to all these different platforms that you want to engage in. And I think that's such a very important factor as an individual to learn how to diversify. So what advice would you give to anyone who is scared and is just willing to just stick in one lane? Okay, if this fails, that's it. What advice would you say?
Who's willing to stick in one?
Who's too scared to diversify? Yes.
What advice would I give to them? If you don't try now, you're gonna regret it later. I've done so many things. I've done Miss Botswana before, and I wouldn't say failed, but according to the pageantry industry, that was a fail because I didn't get the crown. But yeah, if you don't try now, when are you gonna try? You don't wanna find yourself now 50 years from now regretting, or what if I had done that? And even when you fail, take that as a stepping stone to your journey to success. I failed at Miss Botswana because it wasn't my time. I wasn't fully prepared. Now I am preparing towards that, So never be scared to diversify. Never be scared to try anything. And one thing also that I like telling people is that no one is coming to help you.
You need to save yourself. Don't wait for
No
your
one
savior.
is coming
Yeah.
to save you. No one will believe in your dreams if you yourself don't believe in them, you know? So believe that, yeah, I can diversify, I can wear many hats, I can do this. Of course, you're going to have failures here and there. Don't use that as like something to demotivate you. Keep on pushing. And one thing I've learned on this journey is that it will also affect your relations with people, particularly friendships. You're not going to have enough time for certain things. You're not going to have enough time for friends. But that doesn't matter. People who understand exactly what you're doing will come your way. God will always direct you towards your right people and also your destiny helpers, the right path on your journey to success. Yeah.
I wish we could continue this conversation, especially with the friend parts and all of those. But Noah, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
We have talked a lot about even Unplugged. Ladies and gentlemen, please do go. Do we subscribe or what do we do?
Can you kindly... Right now, we are in need of sponsors. And also, please donate stationery for kids.
The stationery drive. Yes, please do reach out to Unplugged by Neo Phologa and find out ways in which you can help and engage with them. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the chat room, and we were talking about stepping into reality with Neo Phologa. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for tuning in. Sorry. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, I'd like to remind you to go press that notification bell on YouTube in order to be reminded whenever we post anything new, as well as press that subscription button so that you do not miss out on anything that we might have also posted. And also comment, because we'd like to know exactly what you think about diversifying into multiple lanes. This was it. Thank you.